Pink Edition, episode 4 starts now. Seth Levit and the man with the best hands in the podcast business. He is OJ McDuffie and Juice. Of course, we are always joined by the legendary Sevach. Gentlemen, we're going to go back to a really perfect time in Dolphins history for today's card.
Okay.
Perfect time.
Tease me more.
Well, there's no tease. If you're a Miami Dolphins fan and you hear the word perfect, you know we are talking about 1972, and that's exactly where we're going, to the 1972 top set. There is a specific card. I've got a lot of Dolphins cards from the 72 set, but the one I wanted to focus on is by none other than the best pulling guard in NFL history. He is Larry Little, one of O.J. McDuffie's favorites.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely is Big Seth, and nicknamed Chicken for a lot of reasons.
Chicken
Little. He disputes all the claims about why they call him Chicken. From what I understand, he ate about 100 wings all by himself. He said that's not true. He shared them with a few linemen. I wonder how many they had. But man, what a great guy, Big Seth. You talking about just a gentle giant. Obviously, like you talked about, one of the best guards, definitely the best pulling guard back in the day, out in front of Zonka and Kick and Merck. Doing his thing, man. And like, he had that type of speed, and how he got to the Dolphins is incredible. Like an incredible trade where we fleeced the Chargers, right?
Absolutely fleeced them, even though they thought that,
Right.
it was just a whatever deal. We're going to get into all of that, but it's really great. And I think some of that bleeds into the story surrounding this card. So let's first focus on 1972 tops. It was card number 240. So there was, I guess there were like multiple series within this set. It was a 3-series set, 351 total cards, which I guess at that time was the largest football card set to date. So, the industry was growing. I think baseball cards you go back to, I think there's Babe Ruth baseball cards, right? You can go all the way back. Football cards was a little bit more of a newer element of the hobby at that point in time. So yeah, largest set ever, 351 total cards. This was in the second series, and this is it. This is that beauty right there. Look at that guy right there. Look at Chicken Little. This is the 1972 top. Yeah, it's really cool. So card number 240, and these cards were originally sold in 10-cent wax packs. Remember, we've gotten back to where you were at, right? Because you didn't want to do the 35 cents, Juice, but you might have been able to scratch 10 cents together. And with those 10 cents, you could get 10 cards and one Topps insert, which was like a game card or a puzzle piece, stuff that today people would probably just throw out. But back then it was a big deal. You get your cards and, you get those additional elements. And if we're talking 72, as we kicked off this show, it was the perfect season. So nobody knew that when these cards came out. They knew the Dolphins had just got their asses kicked by the Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys, yeah.
And they were an up and coming team with this. It's so crazy to say this, Juice, with this young coach, that looked like he was a budding star, but he hadn't been able to win a Super Bowl yet. And we've heard from all of our friends from that team what the conversation was in their meeting rooms, in their locker rooms, and they didn't want to be embarrassed again and all that stuff.
Right.
But here, going back to what you said at the top of the show, Larry Little starts his career with the San Diego Chargers. He's an All-American at Bethune-Cookman at that point in time, and even today, quite frankly. I don't know if the league looked at players at HBCUs the way that they looked at players at they weren't Power 5 and Power 4, 4 the way they are now, but they just looked at those schools differently, especially back then. We talked about how Larry camped out by the payphone right outside of his dorm and waited for it to ring and wouldn't let anybody touch it, and then it didn't ring all day. And so he signs with the Chargers for $800. Okay, Sevach, that was his signing bonus, $800 with the Chargers. And Sid Gilman is the head coach of the Chargers, not a fan of Larry, doesn't think he can keep his weight under control, not sure if he's an offensive player, if he's a defensive player, and ultimately trades him for Mac Lamb, who was his high school teammate. Mac Lamb's with the Dolphins.
Who again?
Right. For Mac, his high school teammate, probably a good guy, as Dwight even say. He was a good guy. He was a good guy.
Right.
But Sid Gilman calls it a nothing for nothing trade, which imagine if you traded this card back then, nothing for nothing trade. But so Larry, was it 67? When was his first year in the league? So he had been playing for 5 or 6 years before this card, but this card is considered the Larry Little rookie card, which is kind of crazy because he was at that. I think he had already been named an All-Pro. he had already become, he had been developed into a really good football player. He just played in the Super Bowl. Didn't know the hell he was about to unleash on, on the rest of the league. So that's I think an interesting element to this, is that here's a player you think about today. Can you imagine having to wait 6 years for a rookie card of a player that ends up going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Right. You know what I mean? And that's the crazy part about it, Big Seth, is like football is kind of new to the game, like you talked about. Baseball, you said, been doing it for a long time. I mean, buddy of mine has an owner's Wagner card in a vault somewhere.
I was like, where's he keeping it, Juice? Like
in a vault somewhere, places unknown, Big Seth.
Parts unknown.
Say off the
Parts
grid.
unknown. And but yeah, I mean, it's weird that that they probably weren't even were they doing cards when he came out? I mean, are there some 67 cards?
So let's see. They were definitely doing cards. They were absolutely doing cards back then. But he was an undrafted lineman that was not really playing, and it was the AFL. So there hadn't been a merger yet. But I guess it just they probably just focused on more premium players, at least.
Maybe Larry said, "The hell with the Chargers. I don't want the Chargers uniform. I want the Dolphin uniform."
Right. Although those
be my rookie card. And Nick, he's tough like that. I ever tell you the story, Big Seth? It was another one of the days in the suite where I kind of me, Troy, and Terry Kirby and Sean Wood and Eric, we kind of run the suite because we're on the alumni advisory board.
Yeah.
We had a game one time, Sevach, where it was really cold outside. Like in Miami, really, really cold outside, right? So during the games, we always open the windows up. We never keep them closed, right?
Yeah.
And so game starts, I open the windows up like we always do, right? So people were never complaining about how cold it was, right? They were complaining about how cold it was. And I was like, man, that's what we always do, basically like this. We always have the windows open. And then I looked back at Larry. I said, Larry, what should I do? Should I keep the windows, open or close them? He said, close the windows, young fella. Close them damn windows, baby. We close the windows. When Larry speaks, we all listen. It's kind of like the white on the offensive side too. When Larry said in that suite, I said, yes, sir. Windows closed.
Windows were closed. I love that story.
I do have to know, though, I'm very curious, especially for somebody like you, Juice, somebody who came from up north and moved to Miami. What do you consider cold at this point?
Oh, anything under 50.
Blood is all thin.
Anything under 50 now, Sevach. That's a lot has changed. I've been down here most of my life. This is home. That's where I go to visit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, speaking of cold, how cold is Larry Little? Is that cold? Yeah. Like, look at the pose. Now, if you look closely, it's kind of I think they're out on a farm or something, wherever they did this. Because if you look all the way back through, it looks like kind of the barbed wire fence, so that your livestock doesn't go running off on you. So I was
there's no Photoshop going on there, and you know what I mean. There's no AI. That is straight wherever they were. This is what you get.
This is what it is. And as you indicated on your card, nobody was looking at the viewfinder. But I love the pose. I love the offensive lineman pose, and they get in there, and it's that still shot. He's in full uniform, and the pants. The pants look dirty. I don't know if that's just they didn't clean them the way they clean them now.
What I do know about that uniform is it looks good on it. Fits.
It is his. It is absolutely his. It is absolutely Larry's deal. And he's just cool as ice. He looks like he could be, I don't know, John Shaft's wingman. He's got the little tight fro there. And Larry's told us he drove the Brougham, the Cadillac Brougham. He said, I just heard, we were just at Kim Bocamper's Legacy Luncheon Series, and he said that was before the Escalade. You had the Brougham. So, and he said he had about 3 or 4 of them over time. But I also so the 72 cards, you're talking about bold, like how bold, look how bold the team name is there, the borders, the colors. That Dolphins. I wore this jacket in honor of that orange. That's forget orange and aqua. It's just orange right now, Juice.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just the orange border, and I'm pretty proud of the condition that my Larry Little card is in. This series, the cuts. Nobody was sharpening the knives at the Topps factory back in the day, because otherwise the corners are almost flawless on this card, but it's not a clean cut at the bottom. I hope it wasn't trimmed. I hope it wasn't post trimmed, but that is something that's, if you do your research, it's kind of consistent in those cards in the 70s, particularly the 72 series. that it just isn't a clean cut on a lot of them. It's not perfectly centered, top to bottom or side to side. My card isn't, but I think overall for a card that, 54 years old, this card's older than me. I'm holding this card. It's a piece of history, Sevach. You talked about, Sevach, how you learned about the younger players from these cards. I mean, that's what that is.
Yeah, a little history lesson there, Sevach. I mean,
exactly.
You weren't even, I don't even know if your parents were thought of back then.
I mean, 72.
It's close.
Yeah, my dad was a young man. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just absolutely love it. There's cool features on the back. There's the cartoon illustration on the back that was very common at the time. We've seen that in some other cards. It's just a clean, concise look. I think everything about it is glorious. The 72 set there were some great rookie cards that year. Roger Starbuck, Franco Harris, Kenny Stabler, all guys that just nemesis that the Dolphins faced in epic playoff games, in a Super Bowl. But there's something about the 72 Dolphins set that would go on to be the perfect set. And you get a guy, Larry Little, who was the preeminent offensive lineman for a team that had the first ever backfield that featured 2 1,000-yard rushers.
Yes, sir.
A lot of cool stuff about this card. Yes, he had been in the league 5 years, but this is indeed the Larry Little rookie card.
Magnificent.
Great stuff. Get us out of here, Big Seth.
He said magnificent. I love it. Is magnificent indeed. I'm putting it back under plastic before I drop it and damage one of these corners. Well, that is episode 4. So many more great cards to get to. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Send us pictures of your cards. I don't care what they look like. I don't care if they're in slabs or if they're graded, as long as they are in thin condition.
Thin condition, superstition.